Darling, it's all right. Now, just a minute.
Oh.
Same old dream, huh?
I told you hotel food didn't agree with me.
Well, never mind. This is our last night. Was our last night, I mean.
Home cooking from today. I hope you're going to like it.
Oh, after 3 months of hotel food, anything cooked in our own home will taste like a banquet.
Do you think I'm going to go on having this dream?
Oh, when you settle down to a proper home routine, you won't have time to dream about anything.
Do you think so?
Now, listen. That business of seeing someone drowned or thinking you did happened years ago. You're not the only one who was frightened when you were a kid, you know.
Do you think I should see a psychiatrist? Lie on a couch and talk about my subconscious?
No, I think you should snap out of it and try to work up a little interest in the fact that tomorrow, today, means a new start for both of us. A new house and a brand new doctor to look after.
You're not new. You were qualified when I married you. You're over 3 months old.
How old are you, I wonder? Come on, darling.
Oh, well, perhaps there's a nice kitchen. Oh, dear.
Might make it better.
Well, it's a big house to inspect by torchlight.
I'll see if I can find the main switch. Here it is, I think. Oh, it's like I'm a genius at electricity as well. What's happened? Are you all right?
I found a rather nice crystal bowl. Careful. There was a bit of newspaper sticking to the bottom of it. I read the headline. Something about a death in this house. Gave me a fright. I'm afraid I've dropped it.
I'm afraid you have. Did you say a death in this house?
Yes, at the Pines.
Tragic death at the Pines. Oh, darling, there must be 20,000 houses in this country called the Pines.
Do you think there has been a death in this house?
Well, there's hardly a house in the country where there hasn't been a death at some time or another.
No, I mean a violent death.
Now, you don't like this house, do you?
He doesn't like us.
Oh, nonsense. You don't like it. And you know that you'd probably have to stay here for 2 years. And so immediately, your subconscious starts inventing reasons to stop you moving in.
Very ingenious. I suppose both our subconsciouses dreamed up that headline.
Oh, no. Yours gave it a sinister interpretation, that's all.
Wouldn't my subconscious have done better to frighten you, then?
Yes. No. The whole business of the subconscious mind is, well, it would take too long to explain now.
All I know is this house gives me the creeps.
Which is a bit disappointing. But you know, darling, I'm not cut out to be a GP. And the only way I can escape is by making my market research. Well, a rent-free house like this with plenty of room for private work, it's just what this doctor ordered.
It's funny, when I married you, I had a hazy idea that being a doctor's wife would involve tea and muffins with the vicar and joining the Mothers' Union, generally backing you up socially.
Save all that for Harley Street.
No, I think a laboratory assistant would be more useful.
But not nearly so decorative. Come on. Perhaps the rest of the house won't be too bad.
Glad you like it. And this is my room. I fancy you'll find this connecting door between our surgeries very useful at times.
Oh, I'm quite certain I shan't need to trouble you very much, sir.
Well, you never know. Might need a second opinion on some of our more eccentric patients. Well, it's a quite straightforward practice, Dr. Murray. There's no trouble at all. But there's been a big increase in patients ever since National Health came in. But frankly, I see no point in working myself to death when an assistant can make life tolerable. It's not very lucrative.
Oh, but there are compensations, sir.
Exactly. There's the house, for instance. It's not a bad old place. I used to live in it myself when I first took over. As you know, it's a bit large, but there are not many young doctors who have the advantage of getting one rent-free.
Oh, yes, sir. I realize how lucky I am.
Yes, you are. Now, the way I thought we'd organize things is this. Apart from 1 or 2 very old patients of my own, the best way would be to work geographically. Simplify the rounds and so on. Yes, it is a bit formidable, but there is the house, remember?
Yes, sir, there is the house. Ginny!
Hurry up, darling. It's nearly spoiled.
Coming, darling.
You're very late.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your reasons for absence, Dr. Flipping Campbell, MD. Do you know, he kept me for hours after surgery, picking my brains about polio vaccines.
He certainly gets his money's worth.
He's too lazy to read up the subject for himself. What a day. Dozens of old ladies with imaginary sicknesses looking at me suspiciously and casting envious glances at Dr. Flipping Campbell's door. Do you know the men are worse? They simply come to me to get a chit to stay off work. And if I don't give them to them, they get indignant. What's that?
Pot au feu.
We had that before. It looked quite different.
Well, I like to do it with little variations. Do you like it?
Very much. Variations on a pot au feu.
Oh, Helen rang to wish us luck.
Lord.
Well, don't be so ungrateful. You're very lucky to have as wonderful a sister as Helen.
Well, she takes after me. Do you know, there was a time when I'd have swapped her for a bull terrier. Fancy her growing up into a beautiful psychiatrist.
Oh, yes, and a Dr. Murray something rang. I didn't get the surname. I put her through to the surgery.
I just spoke to her.
Oh. Well, I'm glad she got through.
I'm glad that you're glad.
What are you looking for?
Napkins. How do you know that she's not an old girlfriend?
I just do. I can see into the past as well as the future, you know.
Well, you're quite right. She's an expert on child welfare.
A second opinion on me, I suppose.
She also happens to be well up in my field. She's kindly offered to work with me in her spare time.
Very nice of her.
She's an enthusiast.
No more variations?
Thanks, darling, but I've got to do some work.
Bob? Bob!
Jenny! What's up, Pop?
I brought you coffee.
Well, do you have to yell the place down to tell me that?
Couldn't remember which was your door.
I'll mark it with chalk. Thanks for the coffee, love, but let me get on. I've a lot of work to get through.
What do you suggest I do while you're preparing to make germ life miserable?
Keep in touch with the outside world. I'll be as quick as I can.
Of the Exchequer would lower the bank rate today by 0.5% or possibly 1%, were again disappointed. Soon after 11 o'clock this morning, the city learnt that there was no change. Industrial share prices fell, but rallied later. The Chancellor is expected to make a statement in the Commons during the week. Nurses and student nurses gave the Queen Mother a rousing welcome when she attended Bridgefield Hospital for the annual distribution of prizes. Late this afternoon, a cormorant belonging to Greenland Airlines crashed into the sea off the east coast of England. The plane was bound from Helsinki to London Airport. There were 30 passengers and crew aboard. Lifeboats and RAF helicopters are still searching a wide area, but so far no survivors are reported. Sport, football, here are some results. First division.
Oh, sorry, darling.
Aston Villa, 2.
Yeah, I didn't know you were a
Leeds, 1.
football fan.
What?
Blackburn,
Oh.
4. Burnley, 1.
I see you're not.
Blackpool, 4.
No, neither am I.
No, but I did hear the rest of the news.
Well, come on. Tell me now, what's going on in the world?
Let me see. Oh, the Queen Mother visited your old hospital to give prizes to the nurses.
The prize giving isn't until tomorrow. I know I got the invitation.
You didn't tell me.
Yes, I know. I didn't think Campbell would give me the day off.
What a shame you got the dates muddled.
I didn't get the dates muddled.
Her Majesty the Queen Mother. Thursday, October the 5th.
Oh, today's Wednesday.
Must be a misprint. Well, somebody's 24 hours out. I saw the Queen Mother at the prize giving.
And what else did you see on the news?
An airline disaster. Off the East Coast, 30 passengers on board. What are you looking for?
An airline disaster. And it's not here, not even in the stop press.
So I made it all up.
Ginny, do you seriously claim that you saw these things on television tonight?
No. No, I made it all up.
Oh, what are you getting so bad-tempered about?
I just sat here all evening thinking it up just to please you.
Oh, you probably saw tomorrow's television news.
Yes, well, maybe I did. Like that newspaper headline. I know it was this house.
You really are convinced about that, aren't you?
Yes, Bob, I am. And it frightens me.
Well, you'll have to help me to suspend my disbelief in something that I can't put under the microscope. But it's going to be a hard job.
Dr. Murray, do you mind stepping in here for a moment, please?
Not at all, sir. Good morning, Dr. Campbell.
You're exactly 17 minutes late.
I'm sorry, sir.
Think nothing of it, young man. It's the first time. But when the first time gets to be the 5th time, it becomes a habit. When a habit goes on for long enough, it becomes a tradition. I intentionally dislike interfering with tradition. Please save me the trouble.
I understand, sir.
Well, if patients are waiting, so am I.
Dr. Lambert. Will you come in, please? I shan't give you a moment, Mrs. Brown. Dr. Lambert, do sit down, please. I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting.
That's quite all right.
I've heard a great deal about you from Dr. Campbell.
Only good things, I hope.
Yes, of course. I understand you're studying our child welfare system.
Yes.
You're getting on all right?
Oh, I think so, but it's not enough. I do not have a temporary registration to practice here, and I have too much time.
I haven't enough. I'll have to look after this practice and my wife and get on with my research.
Your research?
Yes, I'm working on a new virus antibiotic.
A new variant?
Yes, I call it beta-theromycetin. Now, I've reached the stage where I shall have to do a series of slow, controlled tests. And I cannot do this without assistance.
Oh, I'm very interested.
Hello? Exchange. Will you get me Oxford 6-7, please?
Helen! The telephone's ringing, I think.
I'm in the kitchen, and my hands are wet.
All right, just for this once. But the age of chivalry is gone. I wish you would remember that. Hello? Knight here.
Steve?
Yes?
It's Ginny.
Gin? Gin what?
Ginny Murray.
Gin rummy? Helen! Did you order any gin rummy, my dear?
You will never get on the brains trust at this rate. It's Ginny Murray.
Oh.
Helen here. Sorry, Ginny, but when you've been living with an Oxford Don for 10 years, nothing surprises you. The last time I rang, he asked me if I came from Troy. Troy?
Helen, please. Something so odd has happened.
You sound rather upset, my dear. What's the trouble?
I want to talk to you. Please come over.
Oh. Okay. I'll come over.
Yes, I want Richfield 7-3. You'll have to take these 3 times a day after meals, if possible.
But how long do I take it for?
Till the pills run out. There's a week's supply there.
Oh, thank you very much, Doctor.
Hello?
Good morning, Richfield Hospital.
Yes, may I speak to Matron, please?
Oh, I'm awfully sorry, but not today. We've got the Queen Mother coming. Is there any message?
No. No, it was stupid of me to forget. Thank you.
Now, let's get this straight. Oh, my dear. It is a shocker, isn't it?
Well, I've done my best with it.
Yes, I can see you have. Now, you say you saw something yesterday which is happening today.
Several things.
Oh, Ginny, I'm not disbelieving you, but you'd be surprised how often there's a perfectly rational explanation for these things.
Well, I wish I knew what it was.
What does Bob think?
Oh, he's just irritated by anything that hasn't a proper explanation. He's very kind and understanding, but he just doesn't...
I know. People who are trained as scientists hate anything that they can't weigh or measure.
That doesn't apply in your job, surely.
No.
I mean, you must have had much more difficult problems than mine to deal with.
Yes, but at least they were worrying about the present.
Yes, but what made them worry? The past, or something that might happen in the future.
Yes, you're quite right. Tell me, this problem of yours, it's happened before?
When I was a child.
Tell me about it.
It's difficult to explain. One moment the world would be perfectly normal. The next it sort of slipped sideways. I was walking along the riverbank on my way to school. And I saw a girl I knew, Jacqueline Drake, walking along the parapet of the bridge. I shouted to her to come back, but she didn't hear me. She stumbled. She sort of put out both hands and fell into the water. I watched her, struggling, being carried downstream. And then I ran and ran and poured out my story to the teacher. She made me wait in her room. A few minutes later, she came back with Jacqueline. They kept me in late for making up such a story. A week later, the river was in flood. Jacqueline walked along that parapet. Her body was recovered miles downstream.
But surely when that happened, they realized you weren't lying when you told them.
That's just it. They said I must have given Jacqueline the idea. Oh, she wasn't very bright. In fact, she'd been under some kind of treatment. My story was supposed to have pushed her over the edge. In both senses of the word.
What a terrible thing to happen to you. Did you ever experience anything like that again?
Yes. Oh, nothing like Jacqueline. But I never told anyone again. Ever.
And then it all stopped?
When I was about 14.
But you've had a sense of guilt about that girl's death ever since.
I thought I'd lost it. Until we came to this house.
Oh, Ginny. I haven't any ready-made answers to this one. Or I could say that there's a traumatic condition brought about by this incident in your childhood which induces an hallucinatory state of mind.
Oh.
Exactly. Even if either of us understood it, I doubt that it would help very much.
What am I to do?
You've never told Bob the whole story.
No.
Why not? He'd want to help you. He loves you.
I don't want to lose his love.
But why should you?
I don't want him to think that he's married to a stupid, neurotic girl who's going to drag him down with her problems.
Hello, Helen. What are you doing here?
I just dropped by.
Oh, Dr. Lumber. This is my wife, Ginny, Dr. Lumber, and this is my sister, Mrs. Knight.
Helen.
I hope you will call me Mary.
Yes, of course. Well, we'll wait till afternoon, and then I'll show you the room where we'll work. Would you like a drink? We've got some gin and some sherry.
Oh, I'd love a glass of sherry.
Sherry, please, Bob.
Ginny?
No, thank you, dear.
One of our main problems is to know where to begin when the infection is unbalanced. For instance, the microorganisms in the case of Q fever and psittacosis are bacteria more than viruses.
I quite agree, but chloramphenicol and a tetracycline group of antibiotics seem to work pretty well against the rickettsia.
Thank you, Mum.
Well, the point is taken. Still, I suspect they may not be truly parasitic.
Possibly they don't make use of the most intimate intercellular processes of their hosts.
Ginny, I'm dying to see your new mixer.
Oh, yes, Helen, I'll show you. Come on.
You may be right. Leibniz's work certainly points in that direction, but it's by no means proved.
Well, now you know just what I don't know.
Oh, isn't it gorgeous? What you making?
I was going to make a Victoria sponge. What did I do with the eggs?
Is it?
Oh, get them for me, Helen, will you?
Now, how does this work? I reckon it locks, does it?
Yes, that's right.
Like
There.
so.
Can you take this out?
Wow. Terrific.
Well, there's one thing about it, Helen. I may not know about chromosomes and Luke or what have you, but I can make a good Victoria sponge.
One retort.
One retort,
2 pipettes.
2 pipettes,
And 1 condenser.
1 condenser, that's right. It's still missing half a dozen culture plates.
I think they're over on those cases.
Yes?
Did you know Helen was coming?
No, should I have? But they're not here.
Try over there.
Oh, yes. Ginny, are you all right?
Oh, I'm fine.
Oh, I should lie down for a while and put your feet up.
Well, Mrs. Murray, it's pretty safe to say that you were right.
Oh. Oh, well, thank you, Dr. Campbell.
Don't thank me. I'm just glad that your husband sent you to me.
Oh, he didn't.
What?
He doesn't know I'm here.
Young woman, you have offended our professional etiquette.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry. I'd no idea.
You go home and tell your husband. At once.
Yes, yes, of course. Oh, thank you again.
Ginny, where have you been?
I was out for a drive. Get some air. Shall I make some more coffee?
Oh, never mind about coffee. Look, I want to talk to you.
I'm very tired, Bob. Won't it do later?
No, now. Ginny, while you were out, I turned on the television.
Oh, Bob, don't let's talk about that now.
So you know what I mean.
What?
You were right last night. Oh, I know you might possibly have known that the Queen Mother was going to visit the hospital today, but you couldn't possibly have known that an aeroplane crashed off the east coast of England with 30 people on board. Only 4 hours ago. Oh, no, darling, it's I who should be upset. Dr. Murray here. Oh, yes, Dr. Campbell. Oh, congratulations on what? Oh, no, she hasn't told me anything. She wants to see you tonight. Oh, she is. Oh, yes, but I... Oh, thank you for telling me. Well done.
Excuse me, I wanted to tell you, I've checked all the equipment and...
Marie, we've got wonderful news.
You don't have to tell me. I'm studying child welfare in all its stages.
Do you
dig Mugsy Penny in his rhythm 6. You must hear that before you go. It's the most perfect bit
No,
of
come on,
Dixie.
Ginny. We really must make a move.
What a shame. It's been such a lovely, restful weekend.
Why don't you stay on for a few days?
If I wasn't a doctor's wife, I might.
Bob can manage now he's got an assistant.
He might manage too well. Mari's very pretty.
Unworthy thought. Is she?
Very. But there's something called the medical register, which gives doctors' wives unfair protection. Come on. Oh, hell, just stay put a minute, darling.
Dr. Murray?
Yes.
My child's sick. Got a temperature.
Well, have you been to Dr. Campbell? He's on call tonight.
Me and Dr. Campbell don't get on.
In an emergency, I shouldn't think you could afford to be fussy. Any doctor...
I'm not going to get Dr. Campbell.
Come on, then. Sorry, darling.
I won't be long.
Oh, that's better, Ginny. You gave me a fright. What happened?
There was somebody in our house. I heard a window being pushed up. There was a light in the attic. I saw a man and a woman having a terrible fight. The woman was pleading with him. She was saying, Bob. Bob, for God's sake, have pity. And then she...
And then what?
And then she fell from the window.
Did you see her face?
No, I only heard her voice.
And the name was Bob?
Yes.
All right, my girl. Tomorrow I'm going to get Campbell to give you a complete overhaul. And in the meantime, I think I'll go and take a look at your attic. Would you like to come with me? All right. I won't be a moment.
Your wife came to no harm last night. Physically, she's in perfectly good shape. That's why it's so puzzling. At a time like this, if she had neurotic tendencies...
Oh, quite, sir. I mean, one could understand it then.
She was quite alone last night.
Oh, yes, I was out attending to a patient.
Really?
Yes, I
was under the impression that I was on call last night. Who was it?
A man called Johnson, sir.
Johnson?
Yes, Walter Johnson, a carpenter. I understand you'd had some trouble with him, sir. He practically shanghaied me. I told him you were on duty, but...
What did this man say about me?
Nothing really, sir. I mean, he was just vaguely abusive. Nothing specific.
That doesn't exactly surprise me.
Why not, sir?
He's never been a patient of mine.
I think old Campbell got out of the wrong side of bed this morning.
He was all right with me.
Good.
Darling,
Hmm?
I want to ask you something. Do you mind very much if I go and stay with Helen for a few days?
Oh, well, I wouldn't mind, but if that's what you want.
It is, really. That's if you can manage, of course.
Oh, yes, I can manage all right. As a matter of fact, it might be a blessing in disguise. I've got all my equipment to set up, and it'll be quite a job.
Oh, well, perhaps I should stay. You'll need some help.
You couldn't help with this now. It's all rather technical. Marie will give me a hand.
Ginny, my pet, what are you doing now?
I'm winding a ball of wool.
Mm-hmm. And in a moment you'll help me with the tea things, I hope. And after that, maybe we'll, play canasta or go to the flicks?
Yes.
It's all a very long way from the imaginary world you seem to have been living in at the Pines.
I know, but what do you get?
I'm just trying to bring you down to earth, that's all. Why should a man like Bob, who spent years training to save life, want to kill even a fly, let alone his own wife?
What about Dr. Crippen?
Shut up, Steve.
I was just dramatizing the comparison, my dear. I've just finished a chapter where an Oxford Don strangles his most promising student because he's a better mathematician than he is. It's very exciting, but it's got as much relation to real life as this charming domestic scene has to Bob trying to bump off Ginny.
Yes, I know it's stupid, but I really do have these nightmares, if you like, when I see what's going to happen in the future, or what has happened in the past.
Ginny, darling, Steve and I really do believe you. There's no need to look like that. We're not just humoring you, but has it ever occurred to you that this, gift of yours isn't necessarily infallible?
But I've never been wrong. I keep telling myself that just this once I am. But I keep seeing those figures and hearing that woman's voice. I'm absolutely terrified that someday there'll be a light in that attic and that Bob will...
I'm a great believer in seeing what we're doing. Yeah, you can't manage
It's
that.
all right.
No. It's bad enough asking you to act as an unpaid char. I'm not going to turn you into a removal man as well.
Oh, we have to do these things for science.
Yes, I think they should include courses for char ladies in every medical school as part of the curriculum.
I quite agree. I'm sure we're setting about this in the most inefficient way. Already I've lost my scrubbing bar.
I know what it is.
What's that you've got there?
Oh, it's nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, Marie, when I asked you to work with me, I never dreamt of involving you in all this.
Oh, don't be silly. I enjoy it.
Including scrubbing floors.
I like working with you, Bob.
There's nothing to worry about, Mrs. Thurston. Have the prescription made up and I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. Come in. Ah, it's you, sir.
All right, Dr. Murray. If you just look in on these folk, I'd be much obliged.
Very well.
By the way, how's the research work going?
Slowly.
I'm not surprised. A general practice is a full-time life. You can't call your time your own.
I intend to make time, sir.
That's the stuff. Hang on to that enthusiasm, my boy, with both hands. You know, ambition's a very good thing, but success doesn't mean much unless you can share it. I found that out when I lost my wife.
Is that Rexton 6-3? Oh, hello, Bob. I thought you'd be in the surgery. Listen, Ginny should be home within half an hour, and if you could be there...
Yes. Yes, Helen, of course I will.
Oh, Bob, women do like getting flowers once in a while. Yes. Well, goodbye.
It's goodbye. Oh, Miss Gray.
Yes, sir?
Here are the forms you wanted. And be an angel. Ring up the florist for me. Ask them to send some flowers round to my wife at the Pines immediately. Oh, and if Dr. Campbell should ask me, tell him I've had to go home. Urgent domestic matter. You know, I'll be back in about an hour.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Darling! Oh, isn't this your surgery time?
Oh, I guess you'd be home by now, so I decided to play hooky.
Oh, that was sweet of you.
I'd have to go back, but
You'd like a cup of tea?
kettle's on.
Good. Come on.
I must have mistimed it.
Never mind, darling. You can't be good at germs and boiling kettles. Oh, now, look, darling, I know how busy things are at the surgery. You've given me a lovely welcome, but shouldn't you go back now?
Oh, at least I can stay for a cuppa.
Have one at the surgery.
Will you be all right?
Don't I look all right?
You look like you always used to look. Okay, if I go now, I'll be back sooner.
florist, special delivery.
Well?
Florist, if you'd sign, please.
Oh, no, there's been a mistake. These aren't for us.
Oh, this is the Pines?
Yes?
Well, that's right. Dr. Murray, special delivery. Now, if you just sign that, please. Sure.
Hello? This is Haywood and Haywood, sir. The florists. I'm sorry to trouble you at this time, but we just want to confirm the exact wording of the inscription on the wreath. Is it from Bob, with all devotion and sorrow to his wife, or is it to my beloved wife from her devoted husband?
Hello. Hello.
Exchange.
Hello. This is Rexton 72. Could you trace a call I've just had, please?
I'm sorry, madam. There've been no calls to this number for about half an hour.
Hello. Could you get me Oxford 67, please?
Hold the line, please.
Another attack of academic paralysis?
Have a heart, darling. This is the last chapter but one, and it's always the most difficult.
Hello?
Helen, it's Ginny.
Ginny.
A wreath has just arrived for me.
What?
A wreath sent to me by Bob.
Oh, darling.
Special delivery.
But you can't. It was just a silly mistake. They're always doing it.
They found about the inscription.
No, of course not. Ginny, you must try and get a grip on yourself.
From Bob, with all devotion and sorrow to his wife.
Well, phone lines do get crossed. You find yourself listening to the strangest conversations.
I'm sure he's going to kill me. Please come, Helen.
All right, Ginny. Now, you just sit tight and I'll be right over. And try not to do anything silly. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation.
You will hurry?
Yes. Goodbye. This is really bad. She's going to have a serious collapse if something can't be done.
What happened?
Well, she's absolutely raving. Bob ordered some flowers and the idiots delivered a wreath.
Oh.
Oh, well, it's not very funny for the poor kid. And it's obviously it's triggered off this psychosis or whatever it is. I'll probably have to spend the night. Will you be all right?
Yes, I'll be all right. I'm going with you.
Good. What? Oh, but, darling, you've got a lecture tomorrow.
Look, I don't believe Ginny is fundamentally a neurotic or hysterical woman, and she certainly isn't a liar. Something or somebody is making her behave like this, and I'm not impressed with these glib theories about psychoses.
Thank you very much.
You go and hold Ginny's hand. I'm going to have a talk with young Bob.
I don't know anything about inscriptions on wreaths. In any case, why did Jenny go to you and not come to me?
The last thing Ginny wanted to do was to encourage the idea in your mind that, well, she couldn't cope with her problem, if it is a problem. She didn't go behind your back for any other reason.
Oh, she'd be hardly likely to come to me since she thinks I'm going to murder her.
If I may say so, I think that you and your wife did exactly the right thing. But I must say, Murray, that as her doctor, I should have been given this history of a psychotic background before she became my patient.
Yes, sir, I suppose you're right. I'm afraid my reaction was rather that of a husband than a doctor.
Oh, there's no blame, my boy. But I'm afraid we may need a second opinion. There's a limit to what a GP can do if the trouble's in the mind.
So I still can't accept the fact that there's any organic mental disorder.
Helen's quite certain there isn't. And so am I.
Possibly. Disorders associated with her condition are still very much a closed book to us.
There's a history of violence connected with all this, but what or when, we'll just have to try and find out. Now, what are your plans, Bob?
Well,
I had hoped to take evening surgery myself tonight, Bob. But as I've a patient with a serious coronary condition whom I simply must see, I'm afraid it rules it out. She lives 2 miles the other side of Uxley. Well, there won't be very many. Oh, by the way, don't forget a sedative for your wife tonight.
Oh, yes. Come in, young man. So this is Dr. Murray's order.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it wasn't my fault.
I'm not really concerned whose fault it was. A mistake was made, and if you want me to put in a good word with your employers, you'd better come with me. This way. These were for you. This miserable delinquent delivered them to the local laundry.
Oh, they're lovely. Welcome home, Bob.
Well, what have you got to say for yourself?
Well, could I have my reef back, please?
It's in the hall. All right, off you go. Well, that's that. Oh, I could do with a drink.
Help yourself, Helen.
Thank you.
You know, you'll never know how grateful I am to you, Helen. What I feel so terrible about is what Bob's going to think. How on earth I could have imagined that...
That's all under control. Steve's with him now and talking to him like a Dutch uncle if I know Steve.
You've both been wonderful. I don't know what you must have thought when I telephoned.
My dear girl, you've had a very nasty shock indeed. Yes, come to think of it, I feel a bit distrait myself. Yes, I needed that. Look, darling, I've got Steve champing at the bit in the Red Lion. I'm only keeping you out of your bed anyway. If I don't get there soon, he'll be dead drunk.
Oh, we can't have that.
Sure you'll be all right?
Yes, thanks to you.
We'll both look in later on our way home. Bye.
I'll be with you in a moment. Thank you so much. It's such a stupid mistake. I can't tell you how it happened. When your wife
That's
ran
quite
up-
all right. Mistakes happen. Now, how much do I owe you?
17 and 6.
Thank you.
I think we should warn the young lady that if it happens again, we shall have to go to Hayward and Hayward.
What are you talking about?
You know, the name in the telephone message.
I'm afraid Hayward and Hayward couldn't help you.
Why not?
Old Mr. Hayward retired years ago. Daddy bought it from him for me. Oh, about 12 years ago.
Do you mean to say there hasn't been a firm of that name for all those years?
No, Daddy changed everything when we bought it. We christened the shop Cynthia. It's my name, actually. I remember telling
No,
Daddy...
it's absolutely wonderful. But can I use your telephone? It's rather urgent.
Of course.
Thank you. Rexton 72, please.
Hello? Oh, it's you, Bob.
Now, everything's absolutely all right. Now, listen carefully and just do exactly as I say. There's an old newspaper in the attic. It's up on the shelf. I want you to get it and put it somewhere really safe.
Yes.
I'll be back as soon as possible. I've got to do evening surgery, but I'll be as quick as I possibly can.
All right, but don't be too long. Yes, of course I'll go. Bye.
You should be in bed, Mrs. Murray.
I didn't. Did I leave the front door open?
I do have a key to my own house. It's a good thing, too. You shouldn't be up at all.
I was just going.
Do you mind if I make sure that you do?
But really, I can manage.
Have you taken your sleeping pills?
No. No, but I will, I promise.
Well, that's really why I came. I'm afraid I must prescribe something stronger after what your husband tells me you've been through.
The pills have worked perfectly.
Surely I'm the best judge of that.
Really, I'd rather not. I'm very tired and I know I'll sleep.
But not deeply enough. You must take my word for it. Come now. It's just a quick jab with a very sharp needle.
Don't like injections. I don't want to be difficult, but I'm just scared of them.
Mrs. Murray, I wouldn't prescribe an injection if I had any alternative. I'm afraid I'm going to have to insist.
You can't force me against my will.
I can. I'm sorry I have to use force for a second time, Mrs. Murray. You see, 12 years ago, my wife was killed in this very room. Yeah, I killed her. She was a worthless woman, Mrs. Murray. She conducted for many years a squalid intrigue with a local village lout. When I eventually discovered her infidelity, there's only one thing I could do. I arranged an alibi, which was quite watertight. I had a number of calls to make that night. Who was to know that I paid an extra call? My own home.
Why are you telling me?
Why, indeed. Why should I be telling you things which apparently you already know?
I know.
The struggle you saw that night in this attic was true in every detail. I threw my wife out of that window. The verdict was suicide. No one suspected me. Everybody thought we'd been an ideal couple. The whole affair has been forgotten, and now you have unconsciously blundered into the past.
But I won't tell anyone.
People hear your story, they'll start thinking and talking. 12 years ago, there appeared to be no motive for murder, and certainly no witnesses. Now there is a witness. And if anyone cares to reopen the past, they'll find the motive.
They already have reopened the past.
I don't think so.
I've been speaking to my husband. He's on his way here now.
I don't believe you, Mrs. Murray.
Are you all right, Ginny?
All right, you can have it. But better in this. Don't you think? It's extraordinary how strong the instinct for self-preservation is. I am sorry, Mrs. Murray. I should know better than to start brawling at my age.
Bob, Ginny's all right. Quite safe. Stay with him till I get the police.
Dr. Campbell, will you please sit on that chair until the police arrive?
Evening surgery didn't take so long as I expected.
It didn't take place at all. I've just paid a visit to the editor of the local paper because of something I heard in the florist's shop. The shop that used to be called Hayward and Hayward. You know all about that name, don't you?
Yes, I do.
The editor told me some local gossip of 12 years ago, the time of your wife's suicide. Now, I knew that the man who'd never been a patient of yours, you remember, Johnson, didn't like you. But you never told me that you hated him.
Johnson was my wife's lover.
I know. Ginny. I was worried about one thing, Ginny. And that was what you told me about the woman in the window struggling with a man called Bob, until I realized that Campbell's second name is Robert. Dr. C.R. Campbell. And then the whole thing suddenly made sense to me and to Steve, and that's why I sent him back here. I had one more call to make on Johnson. And he admitted what you've just told me. He was your wife's lover.
I seem to have cut myself rather more badly than I thought. I'm in some discomfort. Perhaps a handkerchief as a temporary dressing.
Where did you cut your hand?
I'm afraid I may have ruined an experiment, Doctor. I fell against a flask upstairs.
The flask contained Anguston poliomyelitis variant. In extremely high concentration, a lethal concentration.
In that case, my carelessness will save you a great deal of fuss. Should take effect pretty quickly.
The nearest antiserum will be in Richfield Hospital. You can get there in half an hour.
Will you come in, Inspector?
Oh, good evening, sir. Are you the gentleman who rang?
Yes, Inspector. I asked you to come because...
Inspector, I want to make a statement in connection with my wife's death 12 years ago. I killed her. I want to give myself up.
I see. You will have to come along to the station, and it's my duty to warn you that anything you say will be taken down and may be used as evidence.
Inspector, Dr. Campbell must first be taken to Richfield Hospital. He's cut his hand on a flask containing Anguston polio...
All right, Dr. Murray. It's perfectly understood. Well, Inspector?
I'm very sorry, Dr. Campbell, but you do appreciate that you will have to be taken into custody. We'll take you to the hospital before going on.
Quite unnecessary, Inspector.
But the other doctor said it would be
My assistant is a little overzealous, Inspector. It's nothing but a minor lesion. A visit to the hospital will do me no good at all. I'll stake my professional reputation on that.
Hello? Yes, it is.
Mr. Knight, please.
Oh, it's you, Helen. She sounds a bit strange.
Hello, darling.
Have you been drinking?
No, I haven't had a drop, but...
Where the devil have you
Well,
been?
it's rather difficult to explain it.
You better come along and explain to me
Yes,
why I
darling.
read
Right away. Oh, dear. I left Helen at the Red Lion before we decided...
Oh, she must be furious.
It's worse than that. I'm afraid she's a little bit the worse for wear. I'd better get down there before she gets into real trouble.
Oh, it's you, Marie. Steve, this is Dr. Lambert. I'd completely forgotten that
How
you
do
were
you do? It's been very nice. I hope we shall very soon have the pleasure on some future occasion. Forgive me.
I'm sorry I'm late, Doctor, but I thought that there would be time.
No, I'm afraid we can't do any work tonight. It's been an unexpected interruption to our program. The Anguston virus culture flask was broken.
That's dangerous stuff to leave about. I better go and clear up.
I'll give you a hand myself, but...
It's all right, Bob, if you want to go and help.
No, I think Marie will understand. I've quite a lot of tidying up to do myself.